All right, let's continue here with the ninth video for this series of 2025 free agent offensive guards. And it's probably best to watch these in order, but obviously I can't control that. So we're going to power through a few disclaimers here before we get into the film review. Number one is this is a rankings for the Miami Dolphins. Critical piece there because it's not how I view the players overall. It's how I feel they can fit into the existing scheme while helping to fix some of the issues that we had in 2024 as well. You can see that my current rankings are up. The play clips that we're going to look at are short yardage run plays, so that is 1 to 2 yards to go. And the thinking behind that is if a player can succeed in the run game when the pressure is that high, then they can usually hold their own in more neutral situations. All that type of stuff that, you know, control and technique that is needed for the short yardage run game also tends to carry over into pass blocking as well. The clips we look at are not going to be all good, not going to be all bad. Just from that filter, I pulled some of the ones that I feel are relevant. Won't be the same number of clips that we look at for every player. These clips also are going to be in chronological order. We're not going to, do all good and all bad. It's just going to be the order that those plays came up throughout the season. And then finally, these are not the only plays that I personally watch for these players when forming my opinion and ranking them in the end. So next up, we're going to take a look at Dillon Radunz. And it's spelled Radunz, and it's not how I would have guessed it was pronounced, but that's how it's reported on the pronunciation guide for the Titans roster, so that's what I'm going to use. He was drafted in the second round of 2021, which is close company with current Dolphins Liam Eichenberg and Jackson Carman, along with some of the other players we've looked at in this series. So as we come over to the film review portion, he's going to be your right guard, number 75 for the Titans here. And our first play here is going to be inside zone to the left. And as you can see, not a good rep from our guy Radunz here. Gets off the ball in decent position here, right? Trying to get that helmet to that far armpit, basically. And then from here, would like to see him get vertical push. There's not really a combination block from Cushenberry here, which is not typically what you see, but that's what the Titans seem to be doing here. And that defensive tackle does a good job of two-gapping Radunz there. Gets off the ball. He's got his eyes in the backfield, and he's able to peek and shed and make that play. So not a good way to start out in the film review here. Next play, again, right tackle here. So this is going to be inside zone to the right, and we get a bit of a better rep here from Radunz. So off the snap, this defender has outside leverage. Coming off the ball and fitting into that defender, and he's going to, stay to the outside, maintain that outside leverage, and that's fine in a zone blocking scheme. So from here, the idea is that, if that defender is going to commit to that outside leverage, then Radunz just has to make sure that he stays committed to that outside leverage. And that's what we get here. Get a little bit of movement and what would have been a conversion in this situation running right behind Radunz. Next play. So this is going to be crack toss, which is something that we see a decent amount in Miami in 2023 and less in 2024. But the idea here is essentially, the tackle is pulling, but everybody else is outside zone. So we're going to be looking basically at a combination block between the center and Radunz there on the nose tackle. And this is a good play in terms of the quickness out of the stance here. You can see that this nose tackle is starting up in a zero technique, lined up directly over the center here. And off the snap, Radunz is able to get that leverage right away. And that nose did help a little bit by slanting to the backside, but that ability by Radunz to then be able to flip his hips and to pull him down to the ground, not something you're going to see all the time and may not look as good as it probably is, but that's really good control to be able to get out of his stance, get there, and then be able to flip the hips around and prevent him from being able to chase that down from the backside. Next play here against the Chargers. And basically the same idea here. So this is a pin and pull scheme here. So we're going to get the tackle blocking down, and then we want to get two linemen pulling out. So from Radunz's perspective here on the backside, it's going to be all about cutting off the backside pursuit. And once again, you can see that, he is quick out of his stance. That defender's not slanting the same way the nose was, but Radunz is still able to get there, get his hips around, and, yes, this player is able to chase from the backside, but, this is exactly what you want. You want this block to be cut off, and if that player is going to chase from the backside, as long as everything is blocked right on the front side, this guy is never going to be a factor. So not a dominant block, but still exactly what you want to see. Next play is going to be against the Vikings. And here we're getting some inside zone to the left. And we can see that we've got a combo block between Radunz and the right tackle here. As they come off the snap here, that defensive tackle is slanting to the inside. So Radunz is a little far to the left, on contact, but that's based on where that tackle was originally. Does a good job of holding him up there. And then, there's a bit of movement before he climbs. I would really like to see him stay on that block longer. That linebacker really hadn't declared that he was coming up to make that play. So I would like to see them, get a little more hip to hip on this combo block, try to drive this guy further, and wait to come off on that linebacker until he's, a more immediate threat in that situation. Still against the Vikings. And now we're getting inside zone to the left. Now Levis pulls that. But from a blocking perspective still, same idea as what we looked at from that one earlier, in the sense that off the snap we're getting a right side step. And you can see the defensive tackle, that left foot is flying out, so he is slanting. So now at this point, all we've got to do is get the hips around and to wall him off to the outside. He wants to take the outside, he can have it. Obviously, looking back at this, we get the same thing over here, in the sense that that tackle slants also. This should have been a give, and should have been able to pound that up for the first down in that situation. Next play here, facing towards you now. So this is going to be on the right side over here. And this is just outside zone blocking again. So we're going to get the combo block. In this situation, it's right guard, right tackle. And they're working to number 33. Had an issue with the blocking out here, where both of these guys go to number 5, and 23 is running free. Probably should have been your tight end here, getting to 23, since you had the seal block on the outside. But back to who we're looking at, Radunz here. Again, another really good job. So you're looking at a 4-eye defensive tackle here. So, not quite head up, but still not the easiest of angles to get to. And you can see this guy, he's trying to get directly upfield. And because of Radunz's quickness there, right, he immediately wins that rep in terms of getting around and getting that leverage that would have allowed his tackle to climb here. And again, right, everything is done to the outside on this. You can see that everybody else is trying to work to that outside leverage. So as long as this back continues on that path to the outside, right, and makes a cornerback be the one to have to make a tackle, then this play is going to hit for a solid gain. So in terms of Radunz here, could it be better? Yes, right? But the ability to get around and make that defender chase from the backside, it's definitely not the worst thing that can happen on these outside zone plays. Facing you again versus the Colts here. So this is going to be a bit of a counter play here. So this is a counter solid. No, not counter solid. This is just regular counter, your guard H counter. So everybody else here, right, on the front side of this, everybody is looking to block down, right? Create a wall on that front side, get the guard pulling through to kick out, and then you have your H or F, whatever you want to call this position in this offense, is coming through to lead up. So from the perspective of Radunz here, his first accountability is his A gap. And we're going to see that off the snap of the ball there, right? He gets that step to the right. There's no other immediate threat to that A gap. Like that tackle's not going to slant all the way over. If that linebacker comes, he can adjust, right? But he can see that slant. So he's going to help out here with the eyes towards that linebacker. And, we're going to get him turned inside and enough for the conversion. So from looking at Radunz here, the reason I have this on here, just a good job of first step being in that down block position, but still having the body control to not overcommit to the inside when that defensive tackle steps out. And last one here in terms of the film review for Radunz. All right, so we are getting more inside zone here. Or I guess more of a dart look with the, nope, just a long trap, just a normal long trap. Okay, so on this, we're going to get the combo block here to this backside linebacker, right? Radunz and your right tackle blocking this 3 technique, and they are comboing to the backside linebacker here. And these guys do a good job of getting in there. The hips are fairly close. They both stay on this block longer. And if you remember the play that we looked at earlier where Radunz had left a little early on the combo block, this is a little more what it should look like, right? Initial contact, you see a little extra in there is what helps push that defensive tackle over, spill him over to the inside before the tackle climbs to the linebacker kind of at the last minute there. He's only got to get there and seal him. Obviously, Radunz was the primary blocker on the combo block here, so a little different situation. But just kind of general education that when we're looking at these combo blocks, we want to see the help block come off as late as possible to seal off that linebacker. All right, so now, most important part of this series is figuring out where Radunz is going to fit in. I don't think that he is anywhere near those top 3, in my opinion. And I think he's also well above these bottom 3. I think he's a better fit than Will Hernandez. I think the strength is better than James Daniels and just a better fit than Mekhi Becton. So really, for me, my decision is where does he come in down, in this 4 or 5 range. I do think that Fries showed a little better power. I think they're pretty similar players, Will Fries and Dillon Radunz. So if those are your guys, I think that those are pretty closely rated. Trey Smith, like we talked about before, is a very good player, but maybe not the best scheme fit. And I think that, Dillon Radunz, I'm going to put him at number 6, just below Trey Smith, because there were a couple of ugly losses there for Radunz. And, that's the stuff that didn't really exist with Fries. And Smith had some ugly losses as well, but Smith also had some really dominant reps in terms of power that Radunz didn't have. So that's kind of the explanation as to why I am putting Radunz in here at number 6. As always, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of where these rankings are going, where you agree, where you disagree. And then the final disclaimer here, these rankings are not factoring in any of the stuff over here, we're not looking at the contract, we're not looking at the background, we're not looking at the injury status. Example there is that even though I have Trey Smith above Dillon Radunz, if Trey Smith comes out at the expected, 20 plus million, and Radunz comes in at 3 or 4, right, then there's a good chance that I'm going to lean towards Radunz just comparing those guys. But if we're looking at these guys just on the field, same dollar amounts, I would have Trey Smith ranked a little bit ahead right now. Thanks for watching.